Hi, my name is Udit and I work as a finance professional out of Germany. In today's video, we are going to talk about how can we be rationally optimistic about the future. When we read any self-help literature or any investment literature, everyone talks about being positive and optimistic about the future so that our money invested, our skills that we are developing grow and then we grow with the world. But when we read the news around us, it's all gloom and doom. The experts, the political scientists, the economists, they talk about impending slowdowns in the economies, upcoming stock market crashes, upcoming job losses in the markets in different sectors, and we see news of wars raging in different parts of the world. When the evidence is to the contrary, it becomes very difficult to believe in what the books are saying that we need to be optimistic about the future. So the question is that what can we do about this dichotomy? Well, nobody has seen the future, and if anyone tells you that he or she can predict the future, then probably they are scamming you. What we can do in this situation is always go back into history and try to learn from it. So let's take the example of Thomas R. Malthus, who was a British economist, and focus on what he wrote in 1798. He gave this Malthusian theory of population growth. He said that the population grows in geometric progression, whereas the resources to support that population grow in arithmetic progression. And one day will come when the population growth will overtake the growth in the resources that are required to support that population. And this situation will be a Malthusian trap. And when this happens, the population that would be there at a point of time in the world would not be sustainable by the resources that are available. So this would lead to diseases, this would lead to wars and famines. And then this would become a self-correcting mechanism by nature, wherein a large chunk of population would be eliminated to make sure that the resources and population are back in sync, and this would repeat in the cycles of history. This was in 1798. Fast forward to much later in 1968. A German political philosopher, Paul Ehrlich, he wrote an essay called Population Bomb in 1968. He wrote that the population bomb is going to explode in the 1970s, wherein there would be mass starvations and the society is going to collapse in the late 70s and the 80s. This was written in 1968. So, if we fast forward to the future, none of this happened. So, what went wrong in these predictions? Were these less intelligent people? No, these were the best brains of their time. They were political, economical, and biological thinkers of their time and revered parts of the intelligentsia. What they did not factor in was human innovativeness. They did not factor in that we as human beings adapt with different situations and we find new ways to solve existing problems. Right after Paul Ehrlich wrote this essay in 1968, there was Green Revolution, which was fathered by Norman Borlaug. This led to increase in agricultural productivity through use of high yielding variety of seeds, through mechanization in agriculture and use of fertilizer. What it led to was the increase in agricultural productivity in Indian subcontinent, Latin America and Southeast Asia. In India, the wheat output went up 2x in a span of 10 years in the 1970s. India became from being a grain importing country to a self-sufficient country in 1970s, and as we speak, India happens to be one of the major food grain exporters in the world. All this happened at the back of science and human innovation, which these scientists discounted. Also about population growth. The global average birth rate was 33 per thousand in 1970, which is down now to 18 per thousand in 2023. How did this happen? This happened because as the society grew wealthier, as the women participation in the workforce increased, as people became more urbanized across the world, they decided to have fewer children and give them a better life. And this was also discounted by these scientists and philosophers. So, what was discounted was the innovation and the societal progress that human beings had in the coming times. So, these examples help us to understand that the predictions of gloom and doom have always been there. There have always been predictions about societal collapses or the world coming to an end. But we should always remember that the world would end only once, and if that happens, the last thing that we should be worried about is our portfolio returns. So, the message here that I wanted to convey was to be optimistic, to look back into history and see how the world has functioned and how we have progressed as a human race, and also don't discount the power of innovation. So, I hope this message helps you to be positive, be more optimistic about the future of humanity, and your personal future. And unless you are optimistic and positive about your future and society's future, you will not put the right efforts towards your personal growth, and hence it would be very difficult for us as a society to grow. And hence, we should always focus on the key message that I always give towards the end of my videos, which is to always keep walking and remember that growth is life. Thank you.